On this episode, we react to Wade Barrett possibly leaving the WWE, Brie Bella retiring soon, the Cruiserweight Show on the network, Fastlane Predictions, and more now on Byte That. Hey gang, what is going on? You're listening to episode 130 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, the place, the location where we break down the latest happenings in the world wrestling entertainment. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TunerRadio, ByteThat.com, and for this and tons more, including something very special this upcoming Thursday, head on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. And also, if you like the show, drop a review on iTunes. It goes a long way into supporting us and spreading the love. That being said, my name is Juan Velas. I am back. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And for this jam-packed news and predictions edition of the podcast, we have Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass, Keith Poshik from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Guys, how was your weekend? Did you feel the love?
Oh, yeah. The love was everywhere, if you know what I mean. Because it was Valentine's Day, and everybody was in love. But speaking of love, hey, we're all back together.
Yeah.
We're like a lovely trio again. So I'm curious, how did you guys spend your Valentine's Day? What'd you do?
Well, it was a pretty quiet weekend for me. I did see Deadpool though.
Oh,
Ryan, do
God.
I see a tear going down your cheek?
No comment.
Okay.
Well, at least it's down your cheek.
Yeah, Deadpool, I know.
That's my brain went there too, and I was just like, you know what? Not on this day.
Yeah,
Fair
this
enough.
is not a movie podcast.
It's the
but
family-friendly edition of the Byte That
family-friendly
podcast.
edition.
But that's saying Deadpool is so goddamn good. Go see
And it is so
seriously.
not family-friendly,
No,
but it is
not
amazing.
at all.
Yeah, if you're over 18, go see Deadpool.
And
No,
if you're not,
well,
then,
Be
hurry
accompanied
up.
by a guardian.
A
Of the
guardian
galaxy.
of the galaxy. Yeah.
Yes,
So have
yes.
Batista go with
Yeah,
you.
take Batista to Deadpool. I'm sure you'll have a great time.
Hey, take a Batista. Okay, guys. So I don't think in the history of our 130 episodes we've had so many news stories break down. Just like maybe 2-3 hours before the show began.
Because normally it happens after the show. And
Exactly.
we're like, we missed all of it.
So we basically had to scrap the entire agenda we originally had. So what we're going to be doing is talk about a couple of things about Raw and then get to everything from Brie Bella retiring, Wade Barrett, the Cruiserweight Show. But first, overall, go home show edition before WWE Fastlane, guys. How was your excitement level sans any specific things that happened?
It was pretty steady. I don't think I got any more hyped than I was last week. I think, without getting into specifics, the show format was definitely a little bit different.
How?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wait,
said I
that's
couldn't get into specifics.
Right. My apologies. I broke the one rule. Okay, yeah, no. This week on Raw hit home the point that I had last week where Fastlane is the most useless pay-per-view of the year. I'm not excited for it at all. It's just like a weird stopping point. Because even when we think about Fastlane, it's every sentence ends with WrestleMania. So why does Fastlane need to exist?
Because
It
we're on the
doesn't.
fast lane to WrestleMania, Keith.
And we could still be on said Fastlane
Because
without
there's
a
tickets
pay-per-view
to be
called
sold,
Fastlane.
and there's money to be made in the month of February.
I
You
guess
can't
so.
have 2 straight months in this day and age without a pay-per-view. So it has to exist.
Couldn't you?
You could.
What about that glorious world where there's 4 a year? Everybody's happy.
Well, think
Storylines are
about how
long.
many less tickets get sold.
You still have
Yeah,
events.
and here's the deal. Here's the deal with what we're going to talk about with the Cruiserweight Show and the WWE Network. I think that if anything, WWE is not looking to make less shows, but are going to try and appeal to just everybody in any way possible. For me, I got to say, yeah, it was not a bad show. I enjoyed a lot of things from it. I kind of get what Ryan says from a different format. It felt like every segment was written by, and I know there are different writers on the show, right? And that came off horribly, but it didn't have like a transition between each one. It felt like the Dudley boys are heel. Okay, so then AJ and Chris Jericho are doing this thing. Okay, so Team Bad and Becky Lynch, which was really awkward how Sasha Banks had like the high heels and couldn't really walk too well and like just didn't help.
And how
Becky
she
Lynch.
like did a whole rotation around the ring almost before entering.
Yeah, that was very weird.
So there were interesting things in the way that you saw possibilities that could happen at Fastlane, but it was weird. And I guess we'll save that for the predictions. But the one breaking news thing that did happen at Raw is that there was a fatal 5-way match for the IC Championship. Dean Ambrose defended against a little bit of everybody, including Tyler Breeze, which a lot of people were surprised by. And Tyler Breeze now seems to just be completely done with the ponytail and now just have the hair out, which I don't know how that looks. It seems like his hair is not made for that.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, it's got a good curl going on. Good man curl.
Okay, so maybe it's just me. But guys, new IC champion, Kevin Owens. Did you see this coming? What are your thoughts?
I'm surprised by it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Really? No.
Okay,
Yeah,
Keith,
this
go
one's
ahead.
all
Keith,
you. Okay, and then
choosing.
you know what? I'll go ahead. Because you always have to contradict me, don't you, SOB?
You
Just
Canadian
kidding, love
being
you.
way too polite.
Oh, just
I guess
go.
so. Okay, I was actually surprised by it. I figured that they would have the title on Ambrose going into Fastlane, but they took it off him. I don't think it changes anything in regards to Dean Ambrose. He's still going to take the pin, and I guess this means he's going to go into WrestleMania as the challenger for the IC title instead of being the champion. I still think that, yeah, it changed nothing, just that the roles are reversed between champion and contender, and that's it. So, yay, I guess. He lost the title.
Yes, I respectfully disagree because I think this changes absolutely everything, at least of the perception of what could happen. Because really, the Intercontinental title has everything to do with Dean Ambrose losing it and not really much to do with Kevin Owens winning it. Because
Absolutely.
I think if you take the title off of Ambrose, all of a sudden it seems way more likely for him to head into WrestleMania and challenge for the championship. Even though way back when you had Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, champion versus champion, all that, that's much less likely to happen nowadays. And if people are like, oh, Ambrose is at Fastlane going for the number one contendership to main event WrestleMania, but he's still IC champ. Obviously, they got to have him defended at WrestleMania, so he's not going to win at Fastlane. You take the title off of him. There's been such a hard focus on Ambrose the last several weeks that it's making me buy in a little bit. Like, this guy has a chance. Like, even if he doesn't outright win, maybe he somehow gets inserted into this main event. Still unlikely, yes, but each week they're making me buy into it more and more. So that's why I think it's still somewhat significant.
But from a perception point, what changes about that? Like, that he doesn't have the Intercontinental title anymore? Because whether he had the champion.
All right. Do you think his chances of winning the match are now better this week than they were last week?
No.
I completely disagree with Keith. I think that not only, and I know I'm gonna move a little bit to basically the predictions, but there's no way I can see this without really making it obvious. I think Dean Ambrose is gonna win now, because think about the past couple of weeks and how we've been saying the IC title, it has a spotlight, but is it going to be a multi-man match at WrestleMania? How do you get Dean Ambrose involved with this and then sort of move back to just his own title thing? They completely eliminated that and handed the IC title to the best possible person, Kevin Owens. Now he can head into WrestleMania as a champion, defend it against anybody, and the crowd will love it. And now Dean Ambrose doesn't have that weight of, I lost the title, and he lost it at a fatal 5-way match. So there's no way you can make him look bad by that. You have 4 other guys. Yeah, they protected him great. And now I do think that they've had, in such a short amount of time, they've established Dean Ambrose as a main event guy. He is at the exact same caliber as Roman Reigns, except Roman Reigns took like 2 years, and we know that the fans are still not completely sold on him, and the fans are riding that Dean Ambrose bandwagon, and Roman Reigns can still be involved. Maybe it'll even be a triple threat match at WrestleMania. I somehow see that happening.
Now, so is it possible that this is sort of like a Batista-Randy Orton situation?
Absolutely.
Where, Orton was supposed to be the guy, and that was the guy they were building, but then all of a sudden people started to really take to Batista, and then they ended up going with that. it still seems very far-fetched at this point. If anything, I feel like the best we could hope for Dean Ambrose is a triple threat. But we always end up in this triple threat conversation every year for WrestleMania.
But see, here's the deal. If there weren't so many injuries, this would not be the conversation. It is Roman Reigns, Triple H, end of story. But can WWE afford to have Roman Reigns win, be booed? And I know John Cena sent out a cryptic tweet indicating, in 2 weeks or whatever the case, something's going to happen. So now people are speculating, is it going to be involved at WrestleMania then? Is it going to be at facing The Undertaker or something? But I do think that this changes the entire thing. And Dean Ambrose is probably going to go into a triple threat match. Do I like that it's a triple threat match? No. But you get the fan pick there in Ambrose. You get the storyline between Reigns and Triple H. And I think that still the winner's going to be Dean Ambrose now. And unless something huge happens at Fastlane, and I know, Keith, you're probably thinking I'm ridiculous, but that's...
Yeah, girl,
really,
you crazy.
But that's nothing new, though. Let's be honest here.
True.
But I'm sticking with that.
Okay. And no, it's quite amazing. I am really just shocked at how much Roman Reigns has felt like he's been put on the back burner throughout this, like, post Royal Rumble, and how much focus has really been on Dean Ambrose. But like I said, it could just be, and I think I mentioned this last week, where it's all Dean Ambrose up to Fastlane, because right after that, it's the Roman Reigns show all the way to WrestleMania.
The Empire.
So they could just be giving us a break from Roman Reigns because they're going ham right after Fastlane.
And that's exactly how I think it's going to go. Let's say, for the sake of argument, if it ends up being a triple threat in the main event of WrestleMania, Dean Ambrose will be the last person of the three people main eventing Fastlane. Like, they would put Brock Lesnar in there before Dean Ambrose if it were to be a triple threat, which it won't. But that's my opinion.
Crazy stuff happening. I do like that we even have this conversation. We're seeing possibilities as opposed to, well, this is what we're going to get. Now, the one thing I want to get a quick reaction, because we don't have a lot of time, the Dudley Boyz are now officially heel on Raw. They did this whole promo that they originally did on SmackDown, no more tables. Devon's getting a lot of mic time too. They're openly referencing the fact that people thought they were going to be a nostalgia act. So, Keith and Ryan, I want to get your feedback in that order. The Dudley Boyz are back, and they're bad.
It's perfect. If you want to build Dudleys up as heels, move them away from all the things that the fans love about them. I didn't like... we talk about the little things a lot here. The fact that Devon's shirt still said, "What's up?" on the back while he was cutting a heel promo kind of made me go, a little bit. But beyond that, I think it's
should have never said it on any shirt in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, yes. True.
I like it too. They definitely needed a shift. The whole nostalgia act, which is exactly, Devon called it exactly as it was. That's really what it had been up until this point. It's time for them, if they're going to be sticking around, to kind of take it into a new direction, because the whole tables thing, like, that's only going to get you so far. People are going to get over it and they're going to stop caring. The Dudley Boyz, they're not one dimensional. There's more to them than just the tables. They have a lot more to offer, and turning them heel also gives them different teams to feud with, such as the Usos.
I'm always wondering, what is WWE's mindset headed over to WrestleMania? If you look back at the last couple of WrestleManias, there is a pattern. If the people are reacting to something, they just flat out bring it up before WrestleMania. The nostalgia act there. The Dean Ambrose thing, that's now a possibility. So I don't know if maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but it seems like ever since Daniel Bryan in particular, they're being way more reaction-based according to what the crowd's really saying on the road to WrestleMania. Is that just me?
It's every once in a while you get those self-aware moments. I felt like we got a lot more of that during the Daniel Bryan storyline, when we used to talk about how Stephanie McMahon was, like, basically breaking the fourth wall, like, all the time. And even Triple H saying, like, "Daniel Bryan, I'm gonna bury you." All that stuff. It seemed more prevalent during that storyline. We thought this was like a totally new era, and I think it's definitely left an effect on how things are nowadays.
Really has.
But it's not quite as prevalent as it was during that time.
I think you're onto something, Juan, because right now is like the WWE's big time. It's the road to WrestleMania. All eyes are on it, at least for more so than the rest of the year. So if people are going to talk, they want them to talk positive. So why not play to your fans during this time? So when they're talking to their friends, family, whatever, they have good things to say instead of the usual negative.
Yeah, and as a closing comment to the whole Dudley Boyz thing, I honestly have no idea what they're going to do with them because you remove the table element. It's almost like when Jericho turned heel. But what do you do with a heel tag team of that caliber? We know what Bubba can do as Bully Ray and all of these things, but WWE is a completely different product from what TNA allowed him to do. So it begs the question, are they eventually going to split? Is one of them going to become the leader and the other one the follower? Are they just going to interrupt things? Which that's why I like so much that they beat down Roman Reigns on Raw. Because I got a thing where it's like, they can do anything they want. Are they going to align themselves with Paul Heyman? We don't know. There are so many questions left unanswered, so I'm looking forward to what's going to happen at Fastlane, not alone Raw, but I do think that something else has to happen at Fastlane. There are rumors about Enzo and Cass possibly showing up because of the Cutting Edge Peep Show. So many things.
God,
guys,
that name is just...
Yeah, it's painful, but, what can you do, right?
If you say, I'm going to watch the Cutting Edge Peep Show to someone who's never seen wrestling, they're just going to be like, they're going to think you're some sort of pervert or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just not very good marketing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I never even thought of it from that angle. That's some...
it's like, this ain't your grandma's Peep Show, right? This is advanced. Cutting edge.
Oh, gotta make that clear.
The Cutting Edge Peep Show. Find it on the Oculus Rift soon.
Okay, really. Just another quick comment. Jericho is now officially a heel, I guess.
Let's not say official.
What's the word officially?
Yeah, okay, so let me break this down just for a couple of seconds. So the whole thing has been Jericho lost to Styles, right? Then Styles lost to Jericho, and apparently the way it happened on SmackDown was an error originally, so they fixed it. So AJ Styles lost to the Codebreaker, so now the story is like, yeah, let's do, the third match, Fastlane. Jericho says, I don't know. I don't want to get your feedback about the rivalry, the feud. It's more about Jericho and the character he's portraying. I don't know if you guys paid a lot of attention to what he was saying on commentary, but he just kept saying, I don't like AJ Styles as a person, the way he comes off. And that was just to me weird, because AJ, he's barely had a chance to really talk or do much, yet Jericho's talking about his personality?
It did seem a little weird. But you ever notice ever since Jericho's lost to Styles, he's also lost his style?
Yeah, I had to think, which one did you mean? Did Jericho lose to Style or Styles? Because he's lost to both.
Like his outfits are becoming increasingly more questionable.
Cool Dad Jericho, man.
Yeah, it's your dad.
Like the blazer with no shirt and stuff.
I kind of love that. I wish I could pull that off.
But you'll be a great out-of-style dad one day, Juan.
Oh, get it? No.
For the most part, though, I did really enjoy Jericho on commentary. I thought he did a good job. I'm really thinking of when JBL said AJ Styles looks like a Hogwarts. Did you hear that part?
I don't think I paid attention to that.
No,
wow,
he was like,
what?
Yeah, he's like, he looks like a Hogwarts, and then I think either Saxton or Jericho was like, oh, don't you mean a Hobbit? Like, I think he was supposed to say Hobbit, but he said he looks like a Hogwarts.
A Hogwarts.
Yeah. Anyway, Jericho did a good job. He's like he's selling the ability of AJ and like the Pele kick and all that. I thought he did a good job, and I like how they're emphasizing the continuation of this story on SmackDown a lot to beat it into the heads of the fans that, hey, things are happening on SmackDown.
Yeah, that's the main feud on SmackDown.
Yeah, especially this feud where AJ's Jericho's, a loved veteran, and AJ's the new guy that everyone wants to see. So I feel like that's kind of the good program to get people to want to tune in the next week. But yes, as far as Jericho turning heel, has it officially happened yet? No, but I think we all know it's coming.
Yeah, heel Jericho is the way better Jericho anyway. That's really all I have to say.
Yeah, keep in mind there is no official match yet as of this recording. We record Tuesday nights, Michael, before the SmackDown tapings. Jericho said that he would follow up this rivalry on SmackDown, so we can't really predict a match that we don't know about, but if we do find anything, we'll make sure to tweet about it before the show. Now, this is our first ever real news section. We may bring up one or two things, but we have three really big things. A fourth if you include the Big Show podcast, so let's get directly to them. The first news story was originally a rumor, then confirmed today, regarding Brie Bella. Dana Bryan had to retire last week because of his injuries. Now, a long time coming, all the way since Total Divas, Brie Bella has been talking about possibly retiring. She didn't do it because of Nikki Bella, but she wanted to become a parent at some point. So I'm just going to read this. This is from Wrestling News Source, most of the things that we're reading, but these are from different sources. This happened in Good Morning America. She commented,
isn't that weird? Wrestling news is coming from Good Morning America.
Yeah,
it's a hell of a time we live in.
Man, these dirt sheets are getting fancy in the mornings, Michael. Okay, so she commented, I just feel that it is time for me to hang up the boots. Brie's retirement will be sometime this summer. Her decision to leave the company was made prior to Dana Bryan's decision to retire and has nothing to do with her husband stepping away. Her husband's, why did they write it like that? Husband stepping away from
You don't know
Brie.
what Brie's life is like.
Yeah, that's proofread that. Okay, guys, reactions. Brie Bella retiring. She is a cringy promo. So we're not. I'm just gonna lay this out here. Just because somebody's going to retire doesn't mean I'm gonna magically take back some of the negative things that I've said. Between the two Bellas, Nikki is by far the better Bella in every way. Never really been a big fan of Brie, except the whole Brie mode shirt and the fact that I own a Brie Bella Funko Pop. But what about you guys? How do you feel about this?
What great life choices you've made having
Right?
her, right? But if Brie wants to retire, good for her. She can do it on her own terms. Like you said, her in-ring career is somewhat questionable, but she's been around for a while. I'd say she had a good run, and she gets to go out on her terms. You can't really fault her for it.
Yeah, I mean, Brie, in the long run, it looked, Nikki ended up being the superior as far as the world of WWE. But, when it comes to her personality, I actually, like, if you watch Total Divas or something, I find Brie far more tolerable than Nikki in a lot of occasions.
By a mile.
She had a good career, and, when your husband's out of it, and it's getting to the time where you want to start a family, it makes all the sense in the world to want to walk away from it. And I think she can walk away saying that she accomplished a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is the Bella twins have been in WWE for a long time. On Squared Circle, the subreddit, someone was posting scans of different WWE magazines, and in one of them, it was an FCW spotlight about these future superstars. And this was a pretty old magazine from like 2006, 2007, and you see the Garcia twins at that point at FCW and all these wrestling hopefuls. So they've been around in WWE for quite a while. So good luck, Dana Bryan may have a D baby.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
That works on so many levels. Just don't think about it too hard.
I'm not taking it back. Oh. Okay, so we go from a retirement to reportedly, and I'll repeat that, reportedly, somebody leaving the WWE. ProWrestlingSheet.com is reporting that Wade Barrett has given notice to the WWE. According to sources, Barrett will not be signing a new contract when it expires in a few months. It's believed that his contract expires in June, and it's unknown what he has planned once he leaves the company. It's believed that he wants to leave the company because he is not enjoying what his role has been. Once again, this is a report, but pretty much everybody has been covering it. Let's face facts. Wade Barrett can make a lot of money in the independent scene. We've seen what guys can do post-WWE. John Morrison, Alberto Del Rio, Rey Mysterio, Carlito, for that matter, down here in Puerto Rico and traveling all across the world. What do you guys think about Wade Barrett leaving? Does it impact your WWE watching career? And what do you think he can do outside of the WWE?
Here's some real talk here, folks. This is Keith talking to you out there in listener land.
Uh-oh.
If you're doing something in life that doesn't make you happy, stop. Because life should be about being happy. Surround yourself with the things that make you happy.
That's so beautiful.
And if the WWE doesn't make Wade Barrett happy anymore, then it's the best choice that he could possibly make.
But we won't see a Punk come back. No. Yeah, Wade Barrett just needs to get the hell out of WWE because it's just not working out for him. Like, whether it's injuries or just, being poorly booked. I mean, the guy had so much potential, but it's been all downhill ever since the whole Nexus thing, he looked like he was going to be a main event guy and a future world champion, and it's just never worked out ever since then. And he's just been derailed from pushes so many times that I can't blame the guy. He's been, how many times do you have to, get burned before you realize it's just not worth it anymore?
And here's the deal. Ever since the Nexus, I don't think we've had one guy in the roster just have trouble developing a character. He's gone through so many phases. And even before we started doing the podcast, we would say every week, something's not clicking. Whether it be the finishing move, the character, something just never clicked. Ever since the core, all the way to Bad News, all the way to King Barrett, to when Barrett had no character at all again. Just so many things. And like Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre is the best example about this. The guy left WWE and made a huge name for himself in Impact Wrestling, in ICW, so many wrestling companies around the world. And I am curious as to what he can do outside of this.
Well, some people said he might go into like UFC or boxing or something like that. There was some
he used
rumor
to be a
that,
bare knuckle fighter, right?
Yeah, there was like a rumor. So this is all, take everything with a grain of salt, obviously. There was some rumor that I was reading about earlier that came out a couple weeks ago saying that some WWE superstar was considering leaving and going into like boxing or MMA or something. So now that we hear this about Barrett, it seems like that would be kind of a fit because he used to do bare knuckle boxing, and I guess, I don't know, I've heard maybe he has an interest in doing MMA, but obviously you can make a pretty good career out of just doing the indie scene, whatever, traveling all over the world. So he's got a lot of options.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see maybe Barrett go into acting. I think he could be a real good actor. Like, just because he didn't really click with a live audience doesn't mean that he wouldn't click with a script in front of him. Because when it did work with things like Bad News Barrett, it was on point. So, and even with the Nexus. So maybe that's a new option. I don't really know if I'd like to see Barrett go to another wrestling promotion. I would, no, not really. But at the end of the day, like I said, whatever makes you happy, do it.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever really had a chance to enjoy a Wade Barrett match. If you told me, name your favorite Wade Barrett match, honestly, I got nothing. I don't know about you guys.
The night I won basically the night I won my Slammy at that Raw was my favorite Wade Barrett match.
Yeah,
because he did the Cactus Jack elbow, and it was awesome.
Exactly. Like, he's had moments where you can see the potential, so maybe he can do a little bit of wrestling. He can be like John Morrison. John Morrison wrestles, he produces, he directs, he stars in movies, and I don't know, I actually see those two guys working together at some point down the line. Those that are listening to the show, drop a comment on YouTube, drop a tweet, Byte That Caster, and send us an email.
God, I just had $1 million idea.
Oh God,
he should start an app or service where you pay him money and he will deliver bad news for you. So say you need to break up with your significant other or you're quitting your job, he could do like a video message.
Whether it's that celebrity
behalf.
thing, you can pay like $50, you can get Kurt Angle to say anything.
Yeah, he should jump all over that.
Yeah. But those listening, let us know. What do you think about this? Where do you see Wade Barrett going after what's happening right now? So, ladies and gentlemen, before we talk about the brand new WWE Network show that has long been rumored, we have, of course, a couple of announcements. One of them being that I am reviewing Lucha Underground on a weekly basis over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. I can't guarantee that I'll be doing it on a weekly basis, but as long as I'm able to, I shall and I will.
Do you have a name for that yet?
I'm so far going with Straight from the Underground because some people are suggesting it. I think it's a pretty cool name, so I don't know what you guys think about that. It's almost too cool. That honestly, the problem there is that it's almost too cool. Not like Rikishi,
Scotty
but
too hotty.
Yeah, should we get Grandmaster Sexay on the phone to approve this?
if he can say the intro like Straight from the Underground, maybe. Okay, so Fight Night, our WWE 2K Fantasy Wrestling show is back. You can check that out. I interview a professional wrestler that's not actually real. But guys...
Or professional.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. But here's the deal. Ever since last week, we have been hyping something. We've been teasing something on the road to WrestleMania. People like things. People like to get things, especially when you don't pay for them. Not stealing, but getting them for free. So this Thursday, you can get a video about what we are about to reveal, and that is that you have a chance to win an Undertaker 21-1 Coffin DVD box set containing all of the matches up until the streak came to an end at WrestleMania 30. It comes with a Topps trading card. The Coffin, Ryan has it, and you will be seeing it. Ryan, how's it feel when you grab it with your hands?
It feels pretty cool. It's definitely like a legit wooden small coffin. It's got 5 discs in it, 5-disc DVD set. Like Juan said, every WrestleMania streak match up until it ended. So the entire actual streak and that Topps trading card as well. So it's a really cool thing to not only just be a part of your your wrestling DVD collection, but something you can kind of put up on a shelf or whatever with the rest of your collectibles. It's really cool.
The question everybody wants to know, can you fit in it?
No, and it would be kind of sad to talk about what things could fit in it because it would just, I don't know, no, not like
keep
that.
Keep going.
Okay.
Roll through it.
I didn't want to say like an animal or something. That's depressing.
Nope.
Okay, guys, what matters is that Ryan, take a break. Like, just stand up, walk it off or something. Now. Whatever you want to do right now, that is up to you. But guys, the whole deal is that this is a sponsored giveaway thanks to Gemmer.com. It's a social community website where you can collect things and share them. So thanks a ton for Gemmer for the outreach. So how do you get into this giveaway?
Not the coffin.
Yeah, not the coffin. You want to get the coffin, but not get into the coffin.
Yes.
You go to the YouTube channel this Thursday. There will be a video where we show off the item. We tell you how to enter the giveaway, what link you have to hit, what you have to do, and the deadline for when you find out who will be the winner. So remember, that is this Thursday. Thanks to Gemmer for the amazing opportunity. And we actually have a video coming up this weekend where we show off some of our favorite collectibles. So we're doing a whole collectible thing because it's a pretty fun time here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to yet more news. Almost too many news happening, and we still have predictions to go through.
All the news
are happening right here on Byte That. Now, this has also been a long-standing rumor. We've heard for a while that the WWE was experimenting or looking at the idea of producing a cruiserweight specific show for the WWE Network, and today they've announced it. It is apparently named the WWE Global Cruiserweight Show. It's scheduled to begin on July this year on the WWE Network. Now, here's the deal. Cruiserweight means 205 pounds and below. So are we all cruiserweights technically?
I am.
I'm not. Oh, I'm so fat.
Feels bad, man.
Feels so bad, man.
So I should not have brought this up right now because we have sad people,
didn't you?
Yeah.
What?
To be fair, I'm like 210, so I barely make it. If I like cut, I could be a cruiserweight.
You gotta make weight. You gotta make weight for July,
right.
Keith.
You gotta drink some BJ, Keith. Drink some banana juice. It worked with Matt Hardy.
Don't call it.
Yeah.
It's called
Never
it's
again.
Banana juice. Just get BJ.
Banana juice would be disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. When you think about Cruiserweight Show, your first thought is, okay, so is it WWE guys on the show? Like, what's the deal? There's a ton of information. We'll make sure to tweet about it progressively. But I'm going to quote a couple of things that Triple H revealed when he spoke with PWInsider.com. So that is the best place you can get that information. But they are looking to recruit a ton of people from all across the world, UK, Japan, China, to find the best talent. So it's not limited to WWE guys. And for that matter, there's no guarantee that these guys are guys that will be in WWE, the main roster, or even NXT. This is going to be its own thing starting in July. And then the other follow-up question may be, so is it just a tournament? Is it just matches? How does this work? And here's a direct quote from Triple H regarding the talent that will be on the show. I'm going to tell the world who you are, you being the talent that will be wrestling on the show. I'm going to tell you bits and pieces about your journey so far in your career, and I'm going to give you an opportunity with someone else to really shine in the ring and show everyone who you are and what you can do, and really allow you to learn about these guys in the tournament. So this is not just a straight up match. This is almost the evolution of what Tough Enough should have been, where these guys have had these long... This is basically Street Fighter, is the most ridiculous example.
No, you're totally right.
Yeah, we have the world's greatest wrestlers in this situation, and WWE will be openly presenting them. Now, this makes a lot of sense, guys. WWE has been developing partnerships with Evolve openly. You know, Sami Zayn has shown up there. And they're looking at talent. Shinsuke Nakamura. They have guys from the Bullet Club showing up now in WWE pretty soon. What do you guys think about this, where it is no longer about, hey, who's going to come to NXT or WWE? It's like, you know, there is going to be a WWE Network show with almost anybody being a possibility because they are there for that show and not the main roster.
Now, they say it's a tournament, so does that mean it's kind of like a season by season thing? So it's like we're going to have this one tournament with all these guys, and then after that, it's like maybe that one guy who wins it sticks around, and then the next season, it's like a whole crop of new guys.
It's difficult to see. Like, here's another quote comparing basically NFL and its college system. And I know that we don't often read a lot of things, but this is groundbreaking. Like, this is legitimately changing WWE as a company. The NFL loses its feeder system without college football, and it's a similar thing for us. I want that feeder system to be there, and I want it to be healthy. I want them to have places to work, and when they're ready, if it's the right fit for them, if it's their passion, and they are the right talent and right performer, we can give them that bigger global platform to get them to do what they want in front of the entire world. If that means making the independent undercurrent healthier, then that's what we do. I just look at it as helping the business succeed long term. Here's the way I look at it.
Isn't NXT that feeder, though?
Yes and no. Drew McIntyre is a good example. Drew McIntyre
is a good example of everything this week.
Well, he really is. Because the guy basically did nothing ever since Vince McMahon said he was the chosen one. The guy leaves, and he is now a main eventer in almost no time, right? Take a look at a guy like Wade Barrett. He can go around the world now, make a name for himself, and hypothetically, he could be in this tournament. Now, he's not a cruiserweight, but that's the example is that it is guys that are around the world that are making a buzz that have a chance to be shown off on a WWE-produced show. They can then go back to the indies, and they have this WWE buzz. The same way we say, oh, Wade Barrett can now be booked for 10 years because he's a former WWE guy. These are guys that are going to be on WWE programming permanently, because that's going to be on the network. And if they get a big enough buzz, then WWE can just say, okay, so I want that guy for NXT, or I want that guy for the main roster. The WWE universe has seen them. The indie people love them. It makes perfect sense. And it helps the indie scene, because now you can say, hey, I was at this WWE tournament, book me. So this is almost a complete whole thing where we said before, is WWE going to kill the indies? Now, we may be jumping to conclusions, or by we, I mean me almost right now, but this changes everything. Is it just me, or do you guys feel that?
My only kind of concern is when you're looking at it on such a broad scale like that, is it a good idea to only limit this to cruiserweights? Like,
well, it's a trial run, right? So just because, let's say this one succeeds, it's a hit, then you can open it up to anything. Like, just because this one's a cruiserweight tournament doesn't mean that the next one could be a middleweight or a super heavyweight tournament or something along those lines.
I think it makes sense to maybe start with the cruiserweight thing, so it's something to to make it different than NXT. It's like this is a niche thing of we're doing only cruiserweights here because NXT is kind of just an amalgamation of everybody. If you just kind of had a tournament of all these random indie guys, it might seem like, hey, why aren't these guys just in NXT? So I guess it gives it a kind of a good flavor.
And I think one of the most important parts of this is the fact that they're not integrating the WWE product into it beyond the fact that it's going on the network. So you don't have to worry about that thing where, oh, hey, now you've got this guy that won a cruiserweight tournament against, I don't know, John Cena or Bray Wyatt or something like that. You don't have to worry about, oh, you need to make the WWE guy look strong. Yeah, because he's going against this other person that we brought into our system. So I really like that it's its own separate entity on the network. I think this is a great thing, like you said, Juan. It could be revolutionary.
This is WWE's Super Smash Brothers. Another completely weird example, right? Hear me out. I love these weird
with
examples.
Mortal Kombat because Triple H is basically Shao Kahn in this, and he's already half Shao Kahn anyway.
Okay, on the video game world, you never thought Mario could battle Sonic, right? In WWE, we always have like, oh, Sting could never face The Undertaker or these things. Now WWE can be, just make a name for yourself anywhere in the world. You don't have to be in my place. This Ring of Honor guy that's really well known, okay, so you're pretty popular, and this Evolve guy's pretty popular. I want you guys to have the dream match on our platform. Then you go right back to doing what you were doing before, but we can get those views, and above everything else, WWE can see how many people consume this on the product, on the network, I should say. You know, not a single WWE wrestler may be on one of these episodes, and can you imagine if it does 200,000 views? Lucha Underground right now is going around that number. So WWE may go at this and go like, well, we got to get some non-WWE wrestling on the network.
Yeah.
So tons of potential.
I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, so that's been it for official news. Now, after Raw, we got the traditional live Stone Cold podcast because we've had a couple of pre-tape ones with Shawn Michaels, etc. But now here's the Big Show, a guy that has had a documentary, so it's not like we haven't known too much about his history. But there are 3 different key things that he brought up that we wanted to sort of discuss in here. The last one I will leave to Keith because I know you like that one a lot. But the first ones, or the first 2, you can sort of lump them up, and it is about him as a character. Number 1, he openly talks about how one week he's a babyface, one week he's a heel, but he almost says it in a positive way. Like, you know, I'm the guy that the WWE can just switch if they need a bad guy or they need a good guy. That's number 1, so let's just leave that in the left pocket. Now in the right pocket, when Stone Cold asks him about how he feels he's been booked in the company in his run, his response is horrible. So on one end, he's like, yeah, I'm the guy that the WWE wants me to be or needs me to be, whether it be babyface or heel. But then on the other side of the spectrum, he openly admits to his run or his booking not being the best. Do you guys feel as fans? Because there is the actor or the wrestler talking about himself, but us looking on from the outside, do you guys agree with those comments that he made?
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I think it comes down to a Big Show versus the rest of the company standpoint, because the points he made were very solid in the way that if you think about all the people that Big Show has worked with, has put over for better or for worse, even though it didn't go to anything in the last couple of years, yeah, okay, this whole flopping back and forth thing makes a lot of sense. Now, if you're looking at it from the perspective of it being the Big Show and his personal career, yeah, it's been kind of a very short end of the stick for him.
Yeah, I think you look at a guy like Brock Lesnar, and then you look at a guy like Big Show, and you're like, they probably should have made Big Show booked in a very similar way to the way they do Lesnar now. Because even Lesnar wasn't booked like Lesnar, you know, during like 2002, 2003 or whatever.
No.
You know, he became just another guy. I mean, of course, he's still this amazing, like, athletic freak.
And he danced at one point.
Yeah, exactly. But you got used to him, just like we're all used to the Big Show now. I mean, Big Show could have been this huge attraction that it was a rarity to see him. And when you saw him, it was a big deal. And I think that's probably what Big Show thinks when he, says his booking was horrible. But at the same time where he says he's proud that, hey, when they need me to do something, I'm the type of guy that I'll do it. I'll help it out. I'm happy to get the paycheck. And, Vince McMahon signing my checks. If he wants me to do this, I'm going to be a good company guy and do it. And maybe he didn't get to be as successful as Stone Cold and The Rock because those guys were just, they were so motivated to elevate their careers. He was talking about how, he's not the smartest guy and he's not always looking to the future of he didn't have a vision. He was just kind of going with the flow but he was happy to do that.
My response is almost a reaction to what he said about the please retire chants. And I hate, and the word maybe hate, because anybody that has listened to the podcast for a while knows how we feel about this whole Big Show turning, Alicia Fox turning thing, right? So he sort of blew that off, saying that those are fans that just want to basically steal the show, the fans that are just in it for themselves. I just think that we've been so overexposed by just Big Show being at every point in his WWE career. As you mentioned, Ryan, he's gone from losing to Spike Dudley on Heat to being the unstoppable force with Paul Heyman in the rebranded ECW. So the guy has done pretty much anything, and dressing up as Rikishi and wrestling Akibona at WrestleMania. So everything that you can think of, the Big Show has done. And there's a point where, like Taken 3 is, as a certain movie we saw recently pointed out, like Liam Neeson at some point, you got to sit down and tell him, stop making these movies. Just stop.
Maybe he's a bad father.
Parent. Yeah, he's the worst father. Big Show, stop. Like, you can probably have other roles on the show. I don't care what he does in the company, much like Kane. Like, the fact that Kane, Ryback, and Big Show are collectively a team right now, that kind of put me to sleep, because you have the three guys that I care about the least in the roster, but at least one of them got a makeover. Now, Keith, the other comment you wanted to sort of bring up about the whole referee thing he mentioned.
Yeah, when they were talking about what doesn't he like about wrestling these days, and how he brought up how referees are becoming more empowered, and that shouldn't have been a thing that happened. And I kind of stopped and asked myself, wait, did that really happen? And is that really a good thing? Like, I guess, yeah, in the way that referees don't take crazy ref bumps that often anymore, but I honestly think that there's a place for that in wrestling, and that's something that really shouldn't have gone away, because from the other side of the coin, what did we gain from that, really? Absolutely nothing.
No, exactly. It's true. The integrity of the referee, yeah, maybe it's slightly better than it used to be, but
it's still not that much.
Yeah, I don't think we think that the referees are very smart still. They often will still like miss the whole, pulling the trunks and all that. There's still plenty of things that make them look stupid and very weak. And that's just how referees are in wrestling. And if it's at the expense of a lot of like cool things that could be happening, I don't think it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of led me to the point of that the Big Show made, where faces should be faces and heels should be heels. And should this whole like blurring the lines thing actually happen? Is it actually a good thing? Because you're sacrificing strong characters to make them almost just more likable. Like, I don't know.
And it doesn't make them likable. We actually have to sympathize, and they have to be
I'm saying
people.
Likable from like a real person to fan standpoint. Like we get behind Kevin Owens because we like him as like a person or whatever, but the character is just kind of whatever. Imagine if he was just full crazy dirty heel all the time, to the point where like his character was so strong that we would hate him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, I was going to say, just like the whole blurring of face and the heel thing, there's a way to do it, but I think the way WWE does it, it's so inconsistent that it's hard to even sympathize with some of these characters, because their logic in a lot of reason, their logic makes no sense sometimes.
So for that reason, should that line even be blurred?
I don't think so. I think it should be a little bit more clean, so everyone at least knows what's going on.
See, the problem here is that because there's a thing such as Twitter, they want people to follow characters. And when you just have somebody you hate, you don't really want to follow them. Kevin Owens is probably the heelest heel they have on the roster, but he's just kind of the anti-hero. Like, he is the guy, he is the solution for some of the things that we're talking about, because he's not afraid to yell at Michael Cole or look at the referee like, yeah, I'm the wrestler and you're just there to make the count. When something like that happens, that's cool. But with the exception of Kevin Owens, it feels like every wrestler should be afraid of a referee, when back in the day, the idea was that the referee is like, oh man, that is the wrestler. Even here's the quick example. When I was producing a short film that I did regarding wrestling here in Puerto Rico, I went through the whole process, right? Now, Puerto Rico is a very angry, bloody type wrestling territory, and I had to referee the match that happened on the show. And the first thing that one of the wrestlers said was, like, I am a monster, and like you need to do whatever it takes to get my attention, because you are nothing to me as a referee, like from a kayfabe standpoint. And that changed my complete perspective, because at that point I just thought, well, if I tell you like you should remove yourself from the ropes, shouldn't you do that? But then you remember, he's the wrestler and I'm just there to make the count or do anything else. And that's when you realize that the wrestler is the priority. And I think they've sort of gotten away from that. So maybe that's an SRT of its own, or another conversation down the line. But I'm glad that we at least had this chance to really talk about it.
Agreed.
Now, time for Fast Lane predictions. We're on the Fast Lane to WrestleMania, guys. Woo! We're on it. Keith, did you put gasoline in the car?
Yeah, I fueled up back like 40 clicks ago. I only put like $20 in, so hopefully we get to where we need to go.
Awesome. I can fill my gas tank right now with 14, so that's not too bad.
Oh,
okay.
Move on.
Pain.
I'm so mad.
Okay, so while Keith is recovering from that, let's talk about Fastlane. First up, 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE United States Championship. Alberto Del Rio battles the champion, Kalisto. Let's do Ryan, so Keith has a chance to recover. Keith, and then myself.
Yeah, after looking up these the matches announced, I just realized that this was a 2 out of 3 falls match. I either completely forgot or never knew. Either way, I am picking Kalisto to win this. I think this is the conclusion of the feud, and they're probably going to move Kalisto in a different direction with a different opponent.
Agreed. I mean, if they're going to flip-flop wins back and forth, you might as well make it in the same match. So I guess that's why it's a 2 out of 3 falls match. But yeah, I see Kalisto winning and then moving forward into WrestleMania as champion.
Agreed. You guys pretty much said it. The League of Nations is all but gone, especially now with Wade Barrett confirming, or we have this rumor, I guess, as of this point, that he's going to be leaving, with Sheamus sort of not doing much. Yeah, Kalisto wins, and Alberto Del Rio just gives up Coulter a call. He's probably still around. Now, Divas Championship match. Brie Bella, and maybe one of her closing matches here, although we still have some time to go, battles the champion, Charlotte, accompanied by Ric Flair, Keith's favorite manager.
Woo. You gotta go with Charlotte here. I think Brie Bella's basically in this because with Daniel Bryan retiring, like, sympathy for her and interest in her is kind of at like a high point right now. So you're just kind of capitalizing on that. Because you got her with the whole Nikki Bella, like Charlotte is supposedly the one who took out Nikki Bella. So Brie kind of had a couple of story reasons here. Just maybe less mic time for these two. But Charlotte's going to definitely win.
Any more mic time that they give them is way too much mic time. But you're going to see a bit of a through line with all of my Fastlane predictions here. But I'm going to say Charlotte on the fact that it's a feud to keep it coasting until WrestleMania. So Charlotte's going to win.
Pretty much, with the tag team match that we'll be getting to after. We could basically guarantee Charlotte's going to win the match. I'll be very surprised if Brie Bella wins. Tag Team Divas match. We have 2 Divas matches on this show. Team Bad, Naomi and Tamina, battle Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks in what is the weirdest match of the night for me.
Becky and Sasha are going to win because they want to do stuff with them, and Naomi and Tamina are going to lose because they don't want to do anything with them right now.
Pretty much.
Don't give me that look, Juan. Grow up.
Pretty much.
No.
But just like the last match, it's something to do till WrestleMania. So they'll probably
This
Becky
is Keith's
Lynch.
new.
Yeah, seriously, don't worry. It'll all wrap.
I gotcha.
It'll all wrap around. But Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks will win. They will move on to face Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Fastlane. Hashtag something to do.
Seriously,
give people something to do.
like I said at the beginning of the show, I think it is the most worthless pay-per-view of the year storyline wise.
This is the real WrestleMania pre-show. And I agree, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. I'll be surprised if anybody actually picks Team Bad to win. But they're just kind of random. They put out, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, the Team Bad theme music. It's called Unity, and Sasha Banks is right on the cover. But they had already broken up by then, so that was just kind of weird.
Very poor
Feels
timing.
bad, man.
Now, Intercontinental
Feels
match for
team
the
bad,
IC Championship. Dolph Ziggler battles the new champion, Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens definitely gonna win this. Ziggler's got a couple wins in on Owens, but I think when Owens was IC champ, it felt right, and it's time to go back to that and ride it out for a little while.
Before Keith goes, whatever he says for this, I'll pretty much agree with.
Yeah. Is Dolph Ziggler just in a perpetual state of constantly being the number one contender for the Intercontinental
I
Champion?
guess.
Because that's basically his career for the last couple of years, just being the number one, never winning, just always being the number one contender. But Kevin Owens, once again.
Why couldn't you pick Ziggler to make Juan commit to having to say that Ziggler is going to win?
No.
It crossed my mind, but I've got bigger fights to fight here, because once again, it's just a holdover till the granddaddy of them all.
It's the Fastlane to WrestleMania.
That's why I only put $20 in the
After
tank.
this, we get Fastlane over with, so I got to get this out. Okay, here we go. Main event time. Triple threat match to determine the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 32. It's so weird how Triple H just doesn't defend the title here at all, but yeah, I know I'm thinking
when
too
you're,
deeply.
the boss.
I guess.
And it's most of the reason why I hate Fastlane.
And hey, you got to keep kind of the kayfabe of if you win the Royal Rumble, you get to main event WrestleMania.
True.
Yeah, good observation there. Okay, justified. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar.
You know, as much as I want to pick Dean Ambrose, you have to go with Roman Reigns. I mean, they've done too much build for Ambrose, but you got to think the whole opposite momentum theory. I mean, I guess kind of the guy with the least amount of momentum is actually Brock, if you were to go by that theory.
Yeah.
But still, we all know it's going to be Roman Reigns, as much as I would love to see some sort of twist.
Yep, I agree. It's probably going to be Roman. Roman's going to pin Dean because Brock Lesnar will not take a pinfall.
Brock Lesnar will get taken out by the Wyatt family.
Absolutely. And then it'll be left to Dean and Reigns. And if you think Dean Ambrose is going to pin the Roman Empire, I think you are a crazy man.
Okay, this is
And
the moment.
this is why you're a crazy man.
Yeah. So if Keith disagreed with me before, oh man, this is going to get nasty right now.
Yeah, it's getting nasty.
So not only here, it's a two-parter. Get ready.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Make
Yeah.
it nasty.
So not only do I
Ridiculous.
think Dean Ambrose is going to win, I think Dean Ambrose is going to pin Brock Lesnar.
What?
Yep.
All right. What?
Yeah, I'm going with it. I am going with it. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, that's Ryan, by the way. That is not Keith. Okay,
One more for good measure.
you got the what's out. Is this a promo? Are you gonna what after every word I say?
What?
Okay, I really do think if you want to build Dean Ambrose as a legitimate contender to the title, pinning
What?
Roman Reigns will do nothing. And here's the thing.
What? No, I'll stop.
Thank you. If Dean Ambrose were to win and he pins Roman Reigns, there's nothing for that to happen. Now, what can happen, combining Keith's theory, is that the Wyatt family can get involved. Somebody on the outside will get involved. Almost like when Eddie Guerrero beat Brock Lesnar. If you think about it, this is pretty similar. It will allow Dean Ambrose to pin Brock
Good
Lesnar,
callback.
who is the most the toughest opponent out of the three of them, right? So you got that. But then Roman Reigns can just go, I was not pinned. So that's where you started the whole journey towards the triple threat match. You can have that fuel to the fire where it's the brothers. Dean Ambrose is the legitimate number one contender. So why is Roman Reigns trying to fit in there? Now, I know that this can be completely wrong, and it can be Roman Reigns pins Ambrose, which could happen. But honestly, I think that not only does this make the most sense, I think the fans can really ride this train to the point where they may want to see Roman Reigns being the WrestleMania match. You know why? Because you always think about a heel turn. And even if it doesn't happen, the simple fact that it's a possibility will get people intrigued.
Son, you are crazy.
Painted an interesting picture.
If you're right, I will apologize for everything.
It wouldn't be the first time I'm right. It would not be the first time this crazy theory of a man says something crazy. And it's right.
That's
Although I have been wrong on many occasions.
What was your crazy theory before that you got right?
The Kevin Owens going crazy thing compared to Bray Wyatt.
It was not. That was like a half credit.
Yeah.
Well, fine. Okay, so this is crazier, right? I'm assuming this is like way out there.
When you say Ambrose is gonna pin Lesnar, but then you say, hey, like the Wyatt family are gonna mess him up or something, it seems a lot more logical.
Because none of the three can look weak in this match. None of them. Because
they can let Ambrose
there is one man that can take a pin.
Which
here.
is why it makes so much sense.
Maybe they've been focusing on him so hard so that they can be like, oh, well, this way he can take the pin and he won't lose too much.
And that right there makes all the sense in the world. Because when they
announced it, I want you to be right, Juan. I want you to be right.
I know my heart wants you to be right.
Pay-per-view predictions. We pick with our brains and not our hearts.
Exactly. Think back to Survivor Series and how that show ended. Roman Reigns took out Triple H. That set this path in place. It's going to be Roman Reigns versus Triple H in the main event of WrestleMania. And
it's the same thing when Shawn Michaels wanted to battle The Undertaker again, and it just wouldn't happen. Roman Reigns can pretty much just go, the title is almost secondary to me. I need to face Triple H at WrestleMania.
Why?
There's so many. Because of the revenge. So many things have happened.
Just because Reigns speared Triple H doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the WrestleMania match. I mean, Triple H took out Randy Orton, and that didn't end up being the main event of WrestleMania.
But the whole
Plans
thing
can change, but they probably will.
Yeah, but the whole thing is by Ambrose becoming the number one contender, all of these things can come together, and you can still get Reigns walking out of WrestleMania as the champion. Is the whole thing. I'm not discarding that at all. If anything, I do think that's going to end up happening, whether it be face or heel turn. But that is my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. So those listening or on the YouTube channel, let us know. Who do you think is going to win? And am
which
I
side
crazy?
are you on? Are you on Team One or are you on Team
I'm
Keith
pretty sure
for this
they're on your
one?
team. I'm going to almost say that.
Or
They're
Team
on-
Ryan?
A team Keith Nolte?
Cryan? Team Cryan.
Team Crying.
Team crying.
Are you on Team Crying or Team Juan? Just
Well,
let
no,
us
I
know.
like Team Crying because that's what we'll probably all be doing after Roman Reigns wins that match.
Yep.
Which will be everybody. Okay, guys, so you know the deal. Predictions. That does not mean the show is over, because every week you have the chance, the opportunity to send us a tweet with the hashtag AskBT. Twitter, Byte That Cast. You send us questions for the podcast. You can also do so on the YouTube video by leaving a comment on this podcast episode for the next one, or you can send us an email. ByteThat.cast. What the hell did I just say? ByteThat.cast. Okay. Do we have that domain?
I don't know.
We don't.
ByteThatCast at gmail.com. Keith, just go.
Okay, we got
I'm
questions. Here they are. Our first one comes from Peter D, who asks, "Hello, guys. Hello. Do you think that The Undertaker will interrupt the triple threat match and attack Reigns? To add, he would go out looking like he will fight Brock, but turn and take out Reigns, setting up Reigns versus Taker at Mania."
I like this guy.
It's a good theory, but no.
I mean, that could be only a situation where you're going to go with Dean Ambrose versus Triple H at WrestleMania. I mean, it's not impossible, but I feel like it would be weird for Undertaker to just randomly target Roman Reigns completely unwarranted.
I don't know why, but the idea of Roman Reigns versus Taker at WrestleMania intrigues me way more than I ever thought it would. It would work for me. Do I think it's going to happen? Because that's the question. I don't think so, but I would not mind that at all.
Once again, another great potential match had the streak not been broken.
Yeah.
The whole streak breaking, I mean, it's still an intriguing match, but the streak breaking just takes so much of the interest off of a lot of these matches, especially what was supposed to be Cena versus Undertaker. I mean, going into that match with the streak still intact, like, my God, would that have been intense?
Okay, so what about this? Let's modify this a little bit. What if he does try to take out Brock Lesnar, but messes up instead of just turning and hitting Reigns? Therefore, Reigns loses the match because of The Undertaker.
There you go.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, that's a way to set it up. It's just the likelihood of it happening low, but it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that.
I don't know, but the fact or the thought of them going back to The Undertaker versus Brockwell doesn't sit with me.
No, because it would set up Reigns versus Taker.
Well, I understand that, but that you would have The Undertaker coming back to attack Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like the final conclusion. Like, they're supposed to be completely done.
That's true.
But I mean, if you just need it as an excuse to get Taker out there, so be it.
Indeed. So thank you, sir, for the question. Our next one comes from Barnaballs. Balls. Who asks?
Balls.
Who do you think Seth Rollins' first pay-per-view opponent will be when he returns? Same question for Cena and Orton.
Cena's first opponent is going to be Undertaker at WrestleMania because he is Wolverine. Seth Rollins' first pay-per-view opponent will either be Roman Reigns or Triple H. And Orton's first opponent is going to be insignificant.
Yeah, out of these, Seth Rollins, I agree, Triple H is probably going to be the primary pick. For Cena, based on that cryptic tweet, what you mentioned, Ryan, about battling The Undertaker at WrestleMania almost seems like a possibility. I know it's crazy at this point to even think about it. But honestly, for Cena and Orton, I don't know. Because they should be out for a while based on what we've heard or read. And from what we've been discussing, WWE can really change a lot from WrestleMania to even the night after. Because we know that Raw just changes everything. So it's really hard. I honestly can't give an answer to that without it just, answering for the sake of doing so. But Rollins, Triple H.
Mm-hmm. I feel very strongly about the Rollins Triple H thing as well. Maybe they'll have like a holdover match for his first one back with Dean Ambrose or something like that, all depending on timing. But definitely Rollins, Ambrose, or Triple H, in my opinion. John Cena, like you mentioned, he might be Wolverine-ish and take on The Undertaker. If not, I can see him going back into the U.S. title picture, whoever that champion may be at the time. Maybe even the Intercontinental if Kevin Owens is still champion. You never know. And Randy Orton, who cares at this point? And yeah. So thank you, sir, for the question. Our next one comes from D. Loading, who asks, will Kevin Owens be the champ within the next year? If so, why? If not, why not? And I assume he means the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Kevin Owens is a tough one. I feel like he's either going to be a multi-time champion or he's never going to be champion. So if I was a betting man, and it may be an unpopular opinion, I don't think he's going to be champion within the next year, and maybe even ever.
I would not go that far. I do see Owens as a multi-time champion. Easily, and I'm removing the smarkiness out of it. I honestly do think that he has this insane untapped potential that WWE clearly sees something in him if they're letting him be such a different character compared to everybody else. Will it be within the next year? I don't want it to. Why? Because it seems like it would be a great thing, but then what? When you hear the different topics that we brought up during this podcast episode alone, there are many things that can happen within this next year. When Rollins comes back, what happens with Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, babyface or heel. There's a ton of options. Do you want to basically waste Kevin Owens in that? Or would you want to have him be the IC champion or just have great rivalries? Like when Jericho came back and all of these things. The heel run, I should say. And then it's like it's finally time for that. I would almost wait for whenever Sami Zayn comes up, which will probably be this year, but I don't want him to become champion this year. As much as I would like it, because then that thing you want to feel will be gone, at least for me.
I agree. It's very easy to forget that Kevin Owens still hasn't been on the roster, the main roster, for a full calendar year. Like, there's still a lot of Kevin Owens to go. The fact that he's done what he's done in his first year is crazy enough alone. I don't think you need to basically throw him into the championship picture just to add another thing in there. He'll be champion one day, I guarantee it. But I don't think now is going to be that time. They're still all in probably on the Roman Reigns show anyway, right? So why throw another? He'll probably face Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he could be a heel opponent for him.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely be number one contender.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
He's gonna be in the mix for a little while as like, he'll be facing Reigns or someone at like a pay-per-view or something for a month. He has a program with them but doesn't actually win the title. He's got to kind of have a crack at those for a little while before he gets the big win.
Agreed. So thank you, sir, for the question. Our next one comes in from Kane Yo-Yo, who asks, What's your favorite style of wrestling? Example, mine is technical. Others include high-flying, hardcore, etc.
I would say I'm always somewhat partial to the high-flying style. When I got into wrestling, my favorite people to watch were the Hardy Boys, Jeff Hardy and, the Swanton Bomb and all that. So I always liked that. But in all honesty, I just like a good variety. Sometimes you'll see a match like we saw a couple years on NXT with like William Regal versus Cesaro. Like, it's nice to see those real technical matches every once in a while. And then, you get the high flying matches where it's all the flippy stuff. So I like a good mix. I would like to see more of those kind of technical showcases. You don't get to see those very often at all on main WWE TV, especially on Raw. So I would like to see a little bit more of that just because, it was so refreshing to watch that match, and we could definitely use more of that.
My two favorite wrestlers growing up, as I mentioned, I did watch WWE after WCW went out of business for the most part, where Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. Anybody that goes to the YouTube channel can always see I have an Eddie Guerrero thing going on in the background. And I love these two guys because they were fast-paced, technical wrestlers. They weren't technical wrestlers in the sense where they would just be involved in there and it would feel like it was in slow motion. And when they needed to do anything high impact or high flying, they could add it to the technical part of the match. And you saw the matches with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. Eddie Guerrero and pretty much anybody. Same thing with Dean Malenko against anybody in the Cruiserweight division in WCW. And it was just an outstanding match. So those two guys are the specific examples of technical wrestling that I really enjoy.
Good answer. Now, I kind of had two answers for this one. From a single match standpoint, I've always been a fan of a strong style of wrestling that includes basically anything Samoa Joe has ever done. Just the matches where when somebody hits you, when somebody kicks you, it looks like it just hurts so much, where just somebody looks like they just take a damn beating.
Did you watch Samoa Joe versus Tommaso Ciampa in NXT?
Negative.
You should watch that.
Mm-hmm. Is it very similar to his match with Finn Balor? Because that was the example that came to mind.
No, this was harder.
Okay. Oh, yes. You're tickling my fancy here, sir. But as a full show, like a full wrestling show standpoint, I have to agree with the point you made, Ryan, where I almost prefer it when each match kind of brings its own thing to the table. It's like, okay, you've got the 15-minute match that's a high flyer. Next, you're moving on to the technical match, and then maybe you've got the strong style, and then maybe you've got the high, spotty, hardcore match. Something so there's a little variety for everybody, and even you might not enjoy the entire show, but you're at least going to have that one piece of it that you walk away with really liking. I think from a overall wrestling product, that is a much stronger approach to take.
Quick question, and this could be a huge discussion, but are there truly any, like, at least in WWE, like, is the true technician kind of like a dying breed?
You know, you have guys that can be that, but I get what you're saying. Like, from what we see on TV, is there a character that is like that? And I think Cesaro
is definitely the closest thing we have.
But even then, it just turned into I don't want to say charade or
Daniel
anything like
Bryan
that.
in a lot of ways was that guy too.
When they moved more towards, when basically the F got out and they moved more towards the entertainment aspect, I think the pure technician kind of got lost in that shuffle where it's more focusing on entertainment.
Because like I can't think of like a young guy that's coming up that is like that guy.
There's a lot on NXT, and I think with what we just talked about, the Cruiserweight Show on the network and NXT, that's where you can see that. That's where there's a lot of guys that can do that. But I think I like how WWE does it, where it feels like a specialty match. Like you can just sit down and go, oh, okay, so now we're getting that type of match. That's cool. Because if you get the technical match every show, it's like when we complain about TNA having diving spots in every single match. It gets to the point where you're immune to it. You don't care. So don't give me that technical masterpiece every show.
WWE's doing a lot of those diving spots in every single match.
Exactly. And honestly, it feels like whatever. Same thing with the super kicks we talked a couple of weeks ago. Don't overdo it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the question, sir. Our next one comes in. We actually got this question a couple times this week. So I'm going to credit it to J4 Gaming and Al R.
Who's now the
asked,
Cynical Cypher, J4.
Yes, he is the Cynical Cypher. He has name changed. He has confused me. I am left
New YouTube channel too,
scared.
So check that out. Subscribe to him.
Yes, do that. Your masters command it. But nonetheless, they ask, hey guys, what do you believe a Roman Reigns or Dean Ambrose heel turn would look like, and what would occur in the aftermath?
The way I could see it is if there is this triple threat at WrestleMania. See, the heel turn, it can't happen at Fastlane because what are you going to do in between that? You got to build to the WrestleMania match. So I don't think it's a good idea to do it at Fastlane. Either it's a triple threat match at WrestleMania, or whoever goes on to face Triple H, the other guy screws the other guy over, some whatever, uses a chair, whatever have you. One guy screws the other over, and then that moves them into a program going out of WrestleMania. I don't even think, maybe Triple H gets his rematch, but after that, it's all business of Reigns versus Ambrose basically going to SummerSlam pretty much.
My concern here is that whoever turns heel may join the Authority, and that to me is just the thing I am so done with. I don't care who you do it with.
Let's end the Authority.
Yes, please. It needs to end. My ideal scenario, because what the hell, I've already been crazy enough this episode, would be somebody turns heel by beating down the Authority, so you think, awesome. But then he just beats the living crap out of the other babyface, so he eliminates the Authority, and then he does that. But I don't see the Authority going away basically ever.
No,
based on what we've been seeing ever. And
even though the Authority basically should have ended at WrestleMania 30.
Exactly. And the whole problem here that
32.
people never talk about, the whole thing people never talk about is that whoever turns heel will probably align themselves with the Authority. And why?
That's so funny.
And then Seth Rollins comes back and you get a new dynamic. But it's like, dude, Ambrose just doesn't work in the Authority. I don't think so at all. And Reigns works better than Ambrose.
Did you think Rollins was going to work in the Authority?
No, but Rollins didn't he could have been anything, he didn't, all his character was the architect.
Butterfly.
Yeah, no, because all Rollins
What about
was
a
is,
Butterfree?
okay, this guy's supposed to be
Could he use
the
Stun
smart
Spore?
guy. He's
Maybe.
supposed to be the smart guy of the group. You guys aren't even freaking listening
We're
to me right
listening
now.
to you.
I'm listening to you. I'm of the mind that I always thought that Seth Rollins would work ever since the whole architect thing, cutting all of those promos when he first turned on the Shield. I was all in on it from day one, but
Yeah, it made sense. I don't think Ambrose makes sense at all.
I think he
It
does.
wouldn't make sense for either of them at this point for how long they've opposed the Authority now.
I think he does in the way that he is using the Authority, or he is joining the Authority to get back at Roman Reigns. Because if one of them is going to turn heel, I see it being Dean Ambrose, and it being because, like, oh, even though Dean Ambrose had Roman Reigns back the whole time, Roman Reigns gets all the spotlight. He moves on to WrestleMania, wins the big one, beats Triple H, and then Dean Ambrose is just kind of sitting there doing whatever.
But I also just think the worst way to get people to like Roman Reigns is to turn Ambrose heel, because Ambrose with Reigns was one of the few ways that they could actually get people to get behind Reigns. So
but you need to sacrifice
for
the
trouble.
entire roster.
But I mean,
to...
that crowd, just look at the crowd last night when, like, Ambrose teased the DDT, the crowd cheered. And then when they did, like, the fist bump, they were actually booing. Like, they wanted to see Ambrose, like, beat him down.
It's tough. It's tough because it feels like whoever turns heel is going to be the new babyface, because the people are just going to like that. So do you turn them heel or do you make them a bigger babyface? Bam! That is the real heel turn.
That's the 2016 heel turn.
Yeah, it's like some weird inception, and I will go on the record saying that I do not think Roman Reigns in a single run will ever be heel. He will be the John Cena of the next generation.
He's just going to come out with 3 babies on one shoulder, a stroller, and just skipping down the ring, down the ramp.
They'll all have faces, and he'll be the ultimate babyface.
Or it's a new pedophile gimmick.
Indeed.
Oh my God.
Roman
Whoa.
Reigns and Jared Fogle, the new tag
Whoa.
team. Anyway,
Whoa.
thank you, sir, for the question. Sirs, for the question.
Footlongs are
one.
$6 now. Feels bad, man.
Next question.
Right? And hey, the subs of the day are back, and it's actually real cool, because I like the sub of the day. I eat a lot of Subway. Our next question comes from Promo Neil, who asks, do you think Triple H should have had a hair versus hair match instead of cutting his hair behind the scenes?
You know, Triple H was smart, and I think he protected himself pretty well by just cutting his hair and just doing it kind of like under the radar, because basically if he lost his hair in some hair versus hair match, then people are going to make fun of his short hair.
Yeah.
But if he just does it and comes back, it's like he wanted to do it. So it's Triple H being Triple H, not giving anyone the rub, but also not trying to embarrass himself, because Triple H has always got to look cool, you know?
Yeah, I think the hair change signaled more of a change in character. And if you had the hair be cut off in a hair versus hair match, it would have just become the next Kurt Angle thing or something, right? So by having him do that change just because he wanted to, it signaled more that I'm stepping down from the full-time wrestler position, but I'm the champion right now.
He's going corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
that-
going
that all
corporate,
worked
but
out
I am the
great.
champion.
Yeah, I don't know. Triple H losing his hair in a hair versus hair match, like you said, would involve somebody beating Triple H in a match, and I think that's where the
That's
buck
not
stops
even
there.
within the realm of possibility.
Right? So, yeah, I like it. And like you said, it makes his haircut not projected in a negative light, because now that he's had the hair for long enough, I actually like short hair Triple H.
I definitely like it too.
He looks way more badass than he did with long hair. So I guess we're conditioned now. But thank you nonetheless for the question. Our final question of the show, and is a bit of a follow-up to a question last week, comes from the Speed Demon. So last week we talked a bit about Daniel Bryan. Well, we talked a lot about Daniel Bryan, and if he will be considered one of the greatest baby faces of all time. So Speed Demon asks, to address the Daniel Bryan babyface question, you guys mentioned Stone Cold, The Rock, and Hulk Hogan. But what are your thoughts on Mick Foley? ever since I've been watching wrestling, I've never gotten excited about Mick Foley.
Well, I really like Mick Foley, and I think he's up there as one of the top baby faces ever. The guy did spots that nobody else will ever do, basically.
And I hope not.
Yeah, and he was just, he was a very likable character. The multiple characters that he did, I found them all to be very likable. So I think Mick Foley is definitely up there. And when you're kind of putting up a list of like top baby faces, as if you're talking popularity, I would put a guy like Mick Foley pretty far above Daniel Bryan, just because he was just a part of that Attitude Era mix when wrestling was at its highest. So if you go on the street and ask people to name wrestlers, Mick Foley's generally going to be on that list for a lot of people. So he just kind of got a lot of exposure along with The Rock and Stone Cold.
I feel like I'm going to put the Keith hat on this one in terms of negativity. And I don't think I've ever really talked to you guys about this, for that matter. I've always seen Mick Foley as a huge contributor to the Attitude Era, but I was never tuned into that or really cared about that for Mick Foley. I cared about the spots, like when you see the Hell in a Cell, there's the dive. Then after the era, you got the great Backlash match with Randy Orton, the WrestleMania match with Edge. So this guy has always been a huge contributor to wrestling, but he's not somebody that I ever went out of my way to really watch, because I felt like if I saw too many Mick Foley matches, they were just sort of okay because they didn't have that spot. He sort of created a problem for himself. When you build your career about being the biggest risk taker, when you stop taking those risks, your show is kind of over. But I get there's a reason why Mick Foley had one of the highest rated segments that really started to shift the tide in the Attitude Era. And that's because he was a guy that was not meant to become a champion like Daniel Bryan. He did become champion. He had that great match with The Rock, which I cannot watch again ever because of the chair shots. But yeah, he's up there with the baby faces. Maybe not for me, but yeah.
I would say that Daniel Bryan, as far as the echelon or the upper echelon of baby faces of all time, I would put Daniel Bryan and Mick Foley in the exact same spot, where they're not really up there with guys like Hogan and The Rock and Austin, but they're a little bit below it. Like, Mick Foley left his mark on the Attitude Era, and like you mentioned, he had one of the highest rated segments of all time, but I just wouldn't put him anywhere near something like Stone Cold or The Rock. And Mick Foley is definitely what the Big Show talked about, how he is the guy that has helped put people over. Mick Foley is probably one of the best of all time of being able to do that, because I would argue that there would never be a Rock if there wasn't a Mick Foley, because of their feud and how career defining it was for The Rock.
And even a Triple H in a lot of respects.
Exactly. Mick Foley is one of the best people ever of making other people look great.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, really good observation. Guys, I have to say right now, one of my favorite podcast episodes, maybe overall in terms of discussion. It feels like we've lumped up like 10 SRTs and predictions and news. So many things happening, and I like this because compare this to last year. I remember around this time we were like, yeah, WrestleMania, it's gonna happen, and there will be matches. And that was about our excitement level from what I can recall. And now we can actually have these discussions. So regardless of if we want Reigns to win, Ambrose, Lesnar,
or if we care about Fastlane and some
exactly, we still have enough to talk about regarding those things, as opposed to just sort of going, eh. So guys, thank you for the questions. Remember the sponsor giveaway this Thursday. All of that information will be on the YouTube channel. And for everything else, you know the deal. You get the hype level. We've gone over an hour. We've gone over, Ryan. We got to pay that overtime money. Do you have that money?
Do we even have enough money to pay ourselves? I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. As Juan said, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Hit that subscribe button. I just put up a video this past weekend talking about the whole deal. We didn't even get to talk about this week, but Stardust, Stephen Amell, that could be a thing at WrestleMania. So hear my thoughts on that. Also, as Juan said, this Thursday, do you want to win a coffin?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but how about a coffin that has 5 DVDs in it of all of Undertaker's streak matches up until WrestleMania 30, and it's got a sweet Topps card, and it's just sweet.
No actual dead people in it, so don't worry about it. It's perfectly legal.
That's your business what you do with the coffin afterwards, though. And so go check that video out coming up this Thursday to learn how you can enter the contest to get that, well, giveaway. Let's be specific here. It's a giveaway.
Sponsored giveaway.
Sponsored giveaway. Thank you, Jimmy. Anyway, also, this weekend I'll be doing another discussion video, and check out Fight Night if you have not already. Just quick realization, we went this entire podcast without talking about the New Day. Just throwing that out there.
Or the Titus O'Neil suspension even.
Or Titus O'Neil got suspended. He grabbed Vince McMahon's arm. I heard he almost got fired. And
yeah, he got fined like $5,000 or something according to JR.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he almost got fired, and then Triple H and somebody else who I forget talked him out of it. So there's the dirt sheet stuff I read, so I know everything.
So that also happened.
Social media. Keith.
Yeah.
You love me. Where can you follow us on Twitter?
You can go to twitter.com/ByteThatCast.
Or at Byte That Cast. And facebook.com/Byte That Cast. Instagram, Byte That Wrestling Amino, Byte That for everything else. Go to ByteThat.com.
Oh.
So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Woo!
And whatever you decide to do with that coffin, just know that Ryan McNulty's fingerprints will be all over it.